Have you ever felt like your past is a heavy backpack you can't put down? Every step forward feels harder because you're carrying the weight of everything you wish you could change. Things you said, things you didn't say, moments that slipped through your fingers. Regret can be like that. It whispers in your ear at night, replaying the moments you wish you could erase, until it becomes impossible to move forward. Maybe it's a relationship that ended because of one wrong word, one impulsive decision. You replay that moment in your head over and over, thinking, if only I'd handled it differently, maybe things would have been better. Maybe they'd still be here. Or perhaps it's a conflict with your parents, a harsh argument, years of misunderstandings, a chance to reconnect that you ignored. You wonder, did I waste my chance to fix things? Is it too late now? Sometimes the weight comes from work, a mistake that cost you an opportunity or hurt your reputation. You can't shake the memory of that one moment when everything went wrong. You tell yourself, if only I'd been more careful. If only I'd spoken up. These thoughts creep into your mind during quiet moments, like shadows you can't escape. Regret doesn't just live in your mind. It takes root in your body, too. It shows up as tension in your shoulders, a heaviness in your chest, or an ache in your stomach. It seeps into your daily life, stealing joy from the present moment. You might find yourself avoiding certain people or places because they remind you of what you lost. Or worse, you stop trying altogether, convinced that your mistakes define you, that you don't deserve another chance. But here's the truth. Regret is a thief. It steals your peace, your confidence, your ability to imagine a better future. When you hold on to the past, you give it power over your present and your future. And the longer you carry that weight, the harder it becomes to let go. Yet, letting go isn't about erasing what happened. You can't change the past. Letting go means choosing not to let it hold you hostage anymore. It means forgiving yourself for being human, for making mistakes, for not knowing then what you know now. It's about deciding that you're more than your worst moment, that you deserve to move forward, even if the past feels like an anchor pulling you back. Let me tell you about Anna. She knows this feeling all too well. She was one of those people who seemed to have it all together. A stable career, a loving family, and a beautiful home. But inside, she carried a deep regret that colored every part of her life. Years ago, she had a falling out with her best friend, someone who had been like a sister to her. They'd argued over something small, but the wounds ran deep, and neither of them made an effort to repair the relationship. For years, Anna replayed the argument in her mind. She thought about the words she should have said, the ways she could have handled things differently. Every time she saw something that reminded her of their friendship, a photo, a shared memory, it brought a pang of guilt and sadness. She told herself it was too late to fix things, and that regret became her constant companion. One day, Anna was cleaning out her attic when she came across a box filled with letters and small gifts from her friend. As she opened it, waves of emotion hit her. Sadness, nostalgia, longing. But instead of pushing those feelings away, she let herself sit with them. She read through the letters, smiled at the old jokes, and let herself grieve for what was lost. In that moment, she realized something. Holding on to the past wasn't bringing her friend back, and it wasn't helping her move forward. It was keeping her stuck. So she decided to let go, not of the memories, but of the regret. She wrote a long letter to her friend, apologizing for the argument and thanking her for all the beautiful moments they'd shared. Anna never sent the letter. It wasn't about rebuilding the friendship. It was about freeing herself. After that day, something shifted. Anna began to approach her life with a sense of lightness. She stopped punishing herself for the past and started focusing on the present. She reached out to new people, formed new friendships, and allowed herself to dream again. Anna's story is a reminder that letting go doesn't mean forgetting or pretending the past didn't happen. It means accepting it for what it was, taking the lessons it gave you, and choosing not to let it define your future. Moving forward requires forgiveness, not just of others, but of yourself. It's easy to dwell on what you should have done differently, but holding on to that pain only builds a wall between you and the life you deserve. I once knew someone whose story still echoes in my mind. His name was Jack. Jack was the kind of person who seemed to have everything figured out. Charismatic, successful, surrounded by people who admired him. But beneath the surface, his life was quietly unraveling. Jack had a sharp temper, something he often tried to justify as passion. In his personal life, that temper burned bridges faster than he could rebuild them. He had a fiancée, a woman he deeply loved, but in a moment of frustration, he said something cruel, something he couldn't take back. She left, heartbroken, and Jack convinced himself it wasn't his fault. At work, it wasn't much different. Jack had built his career with talent and determination, but his pride made it hard for him to accept criticism. A heated argument with a client, laced with cutting words, cost him one of the biggest deals of his career. That one mistake snowballed. Word spread, and soon Jack's reputation was on shaky ground. He told me once during a late-night conversation how regret consumed him. "I replay those moments in my head all the time," he said. "What I said to her, what I said to him. It's like watching a car crash over and over, knowing you're the driver and there's no undoing it." Regret became his constant companion, following him into every decision, every interaction. It wasn't just the lost opportunities. It was the weight of feeling like he'd ruined everything good in his life. Jack withdrew. He stopped trying to mend relationships, convinced it was too late. He told himself he didn't deserve forgiveness, not from others and certainly not from himself. But life has a way of surprising us, even when we feel like we're at our lowest. Jack's turning point came when he volunteered to help build a community garden in his neighborhood. It wasn't something he planned. It was more like an escape. He wanted to lose himself in physical work, something that didn't require thought or emotion. What he didn't expect was how healing it would be. Day by day, he worked alongside strangers who didn't know his past, who didn't judge him. They only saw the man standing in front of them, sweaty, dirty, but trying. Slowly, he began to open up, to them and to himself. One day, as he planted a row of flowers, an elderly woman working beside him said, "You know, gardens are forgiving. You can make mistakes, plant the wrong thing, or forget to water, but there's always another season, another chance to grow something beautiful." Those words stayed with him. Jack realized he'd spent so much time clinging to the past that he hadn't given himself permission to start fresh. He began reaching out to people he'd hurt, not to force reconciliation, but to take responsibility. Some relationships couldn't be repaired, but others surprised him. His fiancée, now married to someone else, wrote back saying, "Thank you for apologizing. It doesn't erase the hurt, but it helps." Jack also mended his relationship with his career. He learned to listen, to take criticism without letting his pride get in the way. Slowly but surely, he rebuilt his reputation. Jack's story reminds me of something I read once. Forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could be any different. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting or pretending it didn't happen. It means accepting what was and deciding that it doesn't have to define what will be. When we let go of regret, we create space for growth, for connection, for new opportunities. It's not easy, and it doesn't happen all at once. But every small step forward is a step away from the pain and closer to the life we deserve. I know this because I've lived it. There was a time in my own life when regret felt like my shadow. I would replay moments in my mind, things I should have done differently, words I wish I could take back. It was exhausting, and for a long time I thought the only way forward was to erase those memories somehow. But here's what I've learned. We can't change the past, but we can change how we carry it. Instead of seeing my mistakes as failures, I started to see them as lessons. Instead of feeling ashamed of my regrets, I began to see them as proof that I'd tried, that I'd cared, that I was human. One quote that stayed with me during that time was from Maya Angelou. Do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better. Isn't that all any of us can do? Life doesn't come with a manual. We're all figuring it out as we go, making mistakes along the way. What matters is what we do next. So, let me ask you, what would it feel like to let go of the weight you're carrying? Imagine waking up tomorrow and deciding, just for today, to forgive yourself. To believe, even for a moment, that you're not defined by your past, but by the choices you make moving forward. I know it's not easy. Letting go takes courage. It takes vulnerability. It takes trust, not in the world, but in yourself. Trust that you are more than your worst moment, that you deserve the chance to start again. Think about the people who inspire you, the stories that move you. How many of those people do you think lived perfect lives? None. The most inspiring stories are the ones where someone fell, learned, and got back up again. And that can be your story too. As I walk through these streets, watching life unfold around me, I'm reminded that every day is a chance to begin again. The seasons change, the city grows, and so do we. What's happened before doesn't have to dictate what happens next. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes for a moment. Think about one thing, just one that you're ready to release. Maybe it's a regret, a mistake, or even a grudge you've been holding on to. Picture yourself letting it go, like setting down a heavy bag you've been carrying for miles. Feel the relief, the lightness. That's the space where something new can grow. As Lewis Carroll once wrote, "It's no use going back to yesterday because I was a different person then." You're not the same person you were when you made that mistake. You've grown, you've changed, and now you have the power to choose differently. So, what will you do with this moment? What small step can you take today to move closer to the life you want? Let me know in the comments. Share your story, your struggles, your victories. Let's remind each other that we're not alone, that we're all on this journey together. If you found this story helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow and lets me know I'm creating content you enjoy. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories and reflections like this one. Together, we can create a space of hope, resilience, and inspiration. Because every step forward, no matter how small, is a step toward freedom, toward growth, toward the life you deserve. And it starts right here, right now with you.